Good morning, I'm Diane Macedo. Thanks for streaming with us. In today's update, we're learning more about the victims in the shooting spree at 3 Atlanta area spas. Emily Tan was the owner of Young's Asian massage parlor. She was killed one day before her 50th birthday. Meanwhile, police are also sharing new surveillance video from outside one of the spas they say shows the suspect now charged with 8 counts of murder. 6 of those 8 victims were Asian women. Now President Biden and Vice President Harris are heading to Georgia today, where they will meet with Asian American lawmakers and leaders. President Biden says he expects to hit his goal of 100 million COVID vaccines administered 6 weeks ahead of his first 100 days in office. But Dr. Anthony Fauci is urging Americans to keep wearing masks and taking precautions, or he says we could face a 4th wave.
If we pull back prematurely, we may trigger another surge, and that would really set us back.
Now, that warning comes as Paris goes back under a month-long lockdown after a surge in new cases there. France reported more than 35,000 infections in the past 24 hours alone. And the murder trial of the former Minneapolis police officer accused of killing George Floyd will continue as scheduled after the judge ruled against a delay and change of venue. 2 jurors were dismissed yesterday after they said they heard about that $27 million settlement the city of Los Angeles reached with the family of George Floyd and conceded they can no longer be impartial. ABC News Live will have gavel-to-gavel coverage of the Chauvin trial once testimony begins. That's on Monday, March 29th, right here on ABC News Live. Now, the rise in anti-Asian violence is leading to a national conversation about Asian American representation in the media and pop culture. Portrayals in American movies and TV shows have contributed to negative stereotypes. Eva Pilgrim has more.
It's a puss, okay? And you still from wrong guy.
When people think of Asians, scenes from Hollywood favorites often come to mind.
What's happening? Hot stuff?
Very often, the first thing that we see when we look at each other are the images that have been impressed on us by the media we consume.
So many scenes from films like Austin Powers.
Hi, Austin Powers, very sexy.
And Mean Girls.
Coach Carr? Train pack?
Perpetuate negative stereotypes of Asian American.
Okie dokie, Dr. Jones, hold on to your potatoes.
And it's this scene from Full Metal Jacket that has permeated American culture like few others.
Me love you long time.
Those words used repeatedly in movies.
Me love you long time.
And TV shows.
Me love you long time.
Asian women often portrayed in Hollywood as sex workers. Either dominatrixes like this scene in Billions, or more submissive like the women in the massage parlors in Rush Hour 2.
Oh my goodness.
For Asian men, they're kung fu masters or nerds with no social skills.
Come on, do math.
And frequently the punchline instead of the hero.
Now don't you kids take anything.
But it's when Hollywood chooses not to use Asian actors and actresses for Asian characters that the repercussions are the most damaging of all.
Maybe next time you can design me better.
In this scene from Breakfast at Tiffany's, Mickey Rooney plays an Asian man.
Oh, that's more better.
He speaks with an accent, his eyelids taped, wearing buck teeth. But even more recent examples, like Matt Damon in The Great Wall, show white actors playing Asian heroes.
That, I think, is at the crux of this. For Asians, we're seeking more than just representation. We're seeking agency. We want to be able to tell our stories and show our characters in all of our splendor and complexity, because that's what it takes for people to actually see us as people.
In recent years, we've seen a breakthrough of new Asian movies, a shift, a new era. Movies like Crazy Rich Asians, Minari, and Parasite, which became the first foreign language film to win Best Picture at the Oscars.
We're seeing more and more Asian Americans in those roles, and we're seeing more and more Asian Americans who are active viewers. I think Asian Americans are kind of taking charge of our own destiny. That's what really makes me feel optimistic.
The Motion Picture Association says it condemns all forms of racism, and it is committed to diversifying the pipeline as well as roles both in front of and behind the cameras. In my conversations with Asian Americans over the last several days and weeks, it's those stereotypes that are so damaging, reducing people to an idea that may or may not be true instead of actually seeing them for who they are. Diane.
So important. Eva Pilgrim, thanks for that. And public transportation systems across the country are getting a new lifeline after taking a major financial hit during the pandemic. President Biden's stimulus package includes the largest amount of federal aid ever for public transit. So what does transportation look like a year into the pandemic, and what has changed for commuters across the country? ABC News transportation correspondent Gio Benitez has more.
It was a year ago when cities and states essentially came to a standstill, lockdowns changing the way we live and move. Public transportation especially took a beating. Ridership dropped to record lows, nearly 80% less than 2019, a projected financial loss of at least $39 billion over the next several years. But even as people return to work and lockdowns are lifted, ridership is still down. Many of those who once relied on public transit haven't come back.
Not as many people are willing to get on public transport, so I feel somewhat safe. But there's no way of knowing who was in the seat before me. Were they infected? Were they not? It's hard.
Paul Ulrich, an IT specialist in Philadelphia, is returning to that everyday commute on Philly's public transit.
Nothing's 100%.
And all throughout the pandemic, essential workers kept getting to work using public transit. Now ABC News Live is taking you on their journey. Darren Lewis in Seattle makes a 77-mile trip to Port Angeles for his job as a transit and public mobility consultant.
Just hopped off my bus and got on the train at the University of Washington, got off my train here at Pioneer Square, and now it is the third leg of my commute. The ferry ride, which is my favorite part. About 45 minutes. Yep, then the fourth and final. So, yeah, walking to the ferry terminal right now.
In Detroit, Donald Stuckey is trying to make ends meet in a struggling economy. He juggles 2 jobs and grad school, using the bus and rideshare apps to get through his day.
This right here shows the problem I'm talking about, is that these 2 buses are lined up here. A lot of times the drivers are on break. Now the problem is that they need to start their next trip. When you see the 2 buses sitting there, it's very likely that they're going to make someone else late, headed back the other way.
People are shocked to realize how like the extent of the COVID exposure risk that I am in my job. I understand that this is not easy to manage this, but I felt like I was struggling to get basic information that I needed and wanted to make my work situation safer.
There's a fear of the unknown. We don't know what we're going to be up against tomorrow.
While most public transportation systems have mask and social distancing policies in place, Brenda, a school teacher in Dallas, shows us how not everyone follows those rules.
I'm on my way home from work. It's about 4:10, 4:15. Right now the bus is empty, though usually there's a couple other people. I think the driver right now is not wearing a mask and doesn't have her plastic partition up.
It could take years for employment numbers to rise to pre-pandemic levels. Less people going to work means public transit will keep taking that financial hit.
Rail ridership during the heights of the pandemic for over almost a year now has been down almost 90% to pre-COVID levels, and our bus service was approaching 70% reduction. So significant impact in terms of ridership that then equates to revenue loss. We were at roughly losing almost $2 million a day in revenue.
Experts now sounding the alarm, saying such a dramatic loss in revenue could lead to a cut in service and investments funding repairs and maintenance. The Biden administration's stimulus package offering some relief for now.
It's just the most important thing that could happen to us, to get those dollars. So now we can plan for the future, start to build back ridership, and get back on our feet financially.
I'm hopeful that as more people get vaccinated, ridership goes back up, because I know how important ridership is. Yeah, that's about it.
So will riders return? Will service be cut? Who's going to pay for it all? These are all questions we just can't answer right now, and neither can public transit agencies because they have no way to forecast what's going to happen over the next several months. But no doubt about it, we're going to follow it right here. Diane?
All right, Gio Benitez, thanks for that. And tens of millions of dollars are being spent on digital-only art. When we come back, we'll explain what these so-called non-fungible tokens are and what's behind the NFT craze. Welcome back. Digital art sold as NFTs, or non-fungible tokens, is the latest trend sweeping the internet. It's a new way to buy and sell works of art that are purely in digital form. And it's all part of an investing explosion that's taken off during the pandemic. So what's behind the latest craze? Here's ABC's Deidre Bolton.
Oh my God! This is what it looks like when your artwork sells for $69 million.
I think it probably means digital art is here to stay.
The work, called Every Days, the first 5,000 days, is a collage of all the images that the artist known as Beeple has posted online since 2007. This digital creation sold last week for a record amount in the non-fungible token, or NFT, market.
NFTs are digital collectibles or digital creations that are images or videos or animations that you can view and enjoy on the internet. But if you want to claim ownership of it, you need to own its digital record. And to own its digital record, you buy an NFT off of one of a number of NFT marketplaces.
For digital creators such as Mike Winkleman, aka Beeple, this is a way to monetize their content like never before.
Before NFTs, I had never sold a piece for more than $100 because, again, there was no way to sell this stuff. You could print it out and make a print of it and sell it, but like people weren't that interested, and like I wasn't that interested in it either.
Winkleman has more than 2 million followers on Instagram, where his work built popularity. And in the past few months, he had sold some pieces to the same buyer, but for less than a tenth of the price.
It's definitely been very much a roller coaster and something that, I didn't expect, especially as a digital artist, sort of auctions and collectors. That's just not part of being a digital artist.
This market is moving so quickly and in big numbers. Last month, a work called Nyan Cat sold for more than $500,000 or 300 Ethereum, a digital currency that many see as a competitor to Bitcoin.
Digital collectibles and digital art are different in that because they live on the internet, anyone can see them and anyone can enjoy them. In order to own a digital collectible, NFTs were created.
This new phenomenon is moving the digital visual arts, music, and sports markets. The Kings of Leon are releasing an NFT-only album. Jack Dorsey selling his first tweet on Twitter. Singular moments like this dunk by LeBron James were sold online as a trading card would be.
The idea of collectibles has always been very physical. You have comic books that you read, or you have art that you hang on your wall. But with these, it is meant to be entirely digital.
NFT businesses like NBA Top Shots are trying to bring those physical collectibles into the digital world with a marketplace for NBA highlights.
NBA Top Shot is a great collector experience. And so for basketball fans, it's the greatest way to kind of put together a collection of content that's really showing your fandom and that you truly own.
But why buy a highlight when you can watch online for free?
You can go and look at the Mona Lisa and take a picture of it, but you don't own the Mona Lisa.
So who's buying these NFTs?
The hype around these things, they got more popular last year, but this year the interest has just absolutely exploded.
In the recent sale that makes Beeple the third highest paid living artist, the buyer is Derek Chauvin. Previously under a pseudonym, but today identifying himself as 32-year-old Vinesh Sundaresan, originally from India and living in Singapore.
I've lived in crypto since 2013, so I think it's just experience over time. I've lived through 3 bubbles now. I mean bull runs, like ups and downs, and all through it I never sold my crypto.
Sundaresan and his business partner say they've invested around $170 million into NFTs, and that the origin of their wealth comes from crypto investments.
We are one of the largest, actually the largest NFT fund, especially with the latest purchase.
He says he bought the Beeple work as an investment, but that's only part of the reason. He says he was captivated by its narrative.
It says, if you work every day consistently for 5,000 days, who knows, some guy will buy that for $69 million.
Would you be disappointed if instead of being valued, let's just call it a 70 million, I don't know, 5 years from now, like you decide you want to sell it and it's like 30 million, will you be disappointed?
I don't see that scenario happening, but I don't know if I want to let it go anyways, right? Like, this is my crown jewel.
And that crown jewel could also potentially pay dividends for Vinesh's portfolio. During the sale of Beeple's artwork, his shares in a cryptocurrency he started gained roughly $51 million in value, though he says he plans on holding on to his stakes long term. He also warns that those looking to make a quick buck could regret it.
If you're buying it solely for the upside, it could be dangerous because I feel like 95% of these NFTs will not hold value.
And like any potential bubble, it could pop.
I think if we had a dollar throughout human history for the time that someone said, oh, this is a fad, the electric car will never be a thing that people keep. If it is a bubble, it's going to end and people will be stuck holding what they thought were assets worth thousands or millions of dollars that all of a sudden are worth, maybe a couple hundred.
All right, thanks to DOWTIN for that interesting report. And that does it for this ABC News Live update. I'm Diane Macedo. Thanks for joining us. And remember, ABC News Live is here for you all day with the latest news, context, and analysis. I'll see you back here at 3 p.m. Eastern with Terry Moran for The Breakdown. Have a great day.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.